We are taught to look for the monster roaring at the gates. We aren't taught to look for the wounded animal that bites your hand the moment you try to feed it. You know the standard narcissist. You've seen them in movies, the Tony Stark types, the loud, chest-thumping egomaniacs who need to be the smartest person in the room. They're easy to spot because they're standing under a spotlight they built for themselves. But there is a second type, a far more dangerous type, because they don't want the spotlight. They want your sympathy. They don't walk in demanding to be worshipped. They walk in limping, demanding to be saved. This is the vulnerable narcissist. They are the invisible predators hiding in plain sight. And if you are a compassionate, empathetic person, you are their favorite meal. The most terrifying thing about this dynamic is that you don't realize you're in a fight until you're already bleeding out. Most people think narcissism is just excessive self-love. It's not. It is a desperate, delusion-fueled defense against shame. While the grandiose narcissist hides their shame behind a mask of superiority, the vulnerable narcissist hides it behind a mask of fragility. They are the eternal victims. The world is out to get them. Their boss hates them. Their exes were all crazy, and bad luck follows them like a rain cloud. At first, you feel honored that they opened up to you. You think, I can heal them. I can be the one person who finally understands. That is the trap. You aren't a partner or a friend to them. You are a jagged crutch they will lean on until you break, and then they'll blame you for being weak. But here is where it gets confusing. Because they appear shy, introverted, or anxious, you lower your defenses. We are biologically wired to nurture vulnerability. If a man sees a woman crying, his instinct is to protect. If a woman sees a man looking defeated, her instinct is to nurture. The vulnerable narcissist weaponizes this biological imperative. Let's look at a scenario. Imagine a husband who comes home from work. He didn't get the promotion he wanted. A healthy adult would be disappointed, maybe vent for an hour, and then make a plan to improve. The vulnerable narcissist, he collapses. He creates an atmosphere of heavy, suffocating gloom. When his wife tries to cheer him up, he snaps at her for not getting it. If she gives him space, he accuses her of abandoning him when he's down. He isn't looking for a solution. He is looking for an emotional punching bag. He needs to transfer his internal feelings of failure onto her. By the end of the night, she's apologizing to him for not being supportive enough, even though she spent 4 hours trying to comfort him. He has successfully hijacked her reality. And just when you think you figure them out, they switch tactics. This is the hidden superiority paradox. Even though they act like victims, they secretly believe they're better than everyone else. They are the misunderstood geniuses. Consider a workplace environment. You might have a female colleague who constantly complains that management doesn't recognize her talents. She rolls her eyes during meetings, sighs loudly when tasks are assigned, and plays the martyr. She believes she's the smartest person in the department, but she never actually steps up to lead. If you, as her male coworker, try to give her constructive feedback, she doesn't just disagree, she disintegrates. She treats a minor critique as a character assassination. Suddenly, you're the bully. You're the oppressor. She rallies the office against you, not by fighting you directly, but by crying in the break room about how cruel you were. It is passive aggression weaponized into an art form. They want the glory of the grandiose narcissist without the risk or the effort. They feel entitled to special treatment solely because they suffer more than you do. But wait, it gets darker. The most damaging weapon in their arsenal is the covert contract. This is an unspoken agreement they have made with you in their head, which you never signed. The contract usually looks like this. I will suffer, and in exchange, you will anticipate every need without me having to ask. When you inevitably fail to read their mind, they punish you. They don't punish you with shouting. They punish you with the silent treatment. The silence of a vulnerable narcissist is deafening. It is a heavy, thick tension that fills the house. You ask, is everything okay? They say, I'm fine, with a tone that clearly says, I hate you. This induces a state of panic in the victim. You start scrambling. You start walking on eggshells, a phrase often used but rarely understood. It means you're hypervigilant, scanning their micro-expressions to see if you're safe today. You stop bringing up your own problems because you know there is no room for them. If you had a bad day, they had a worse one. If you had a headache, they have a migraine. If you broke a bone, they are dying of a broken heart. You slowly erase yourself to make more room for their ego. I didn't truly understand the scale of this manipulation until I saw it destroy a decades-long friendship. One friend, let's call him Mark, was successful, happy, and generous. The other, let's call him Steve, was the unlucky one. For years, Mark paid for dinners, listened to Steve's complaints, and validated Steve's victimhood. The moment Mark stopped paying, the moment he set a boundary, Steve didn't just walk away, he launched a smear campaign. He told everyone Mark was arrogant, selfish, and had changed. Steve felt entitled to Mark's resources as compensation for his own lack of success. The vulnerable narcissist views your happiness not as something to celebrate, but as something stolen from them. They are consumed by envy. So, how do you deal with a predator who hides behind tears? First step is the hardest. You must kill your hope. You have to accept that you cannot love them into health. You cannot reassure them enough to fill the void inside them. It is a black hole. If you throw your love into a black hole, you don't fill it up, you just disappear. You must stop serving as their emotional regulator. When they spiral into self-pity, you don't jump in the mud with them. You stay on the bank. You use the gray rock method. You become as boring and unreactive as a rock. If they say, "I guess I'm just a terrible partner. I should just leave so you can be happy," they are fishing for you to say, No, don't say that." Instead, you say, "That is your decision to make." You give them back their responsibility. It will shock them. They will rage. They will cry louder. They will accuse you of being cold, heartless, and psychopathic. This is called the extinction burst. It's the final tantrum of a toddler who realizes the manipulation isn't working anymore. Do not defend yourself against their accusations. Defense implies that their opinion of you matters. It doesn't. You know who you are. It is terrifying to withdraw your empathy. It feels unnatural. It feels cruel. But you have to remember that you are not dealing with a drowning person reaching for a hand. You are dealing with a person who is trying to climb on top of your head to keep themselves afloat, even if it means drowning you. Recognizing this dynamic is the difference between losing a few months of your life and losing your entire self. The moment you see the vulnerable narcissist for what they are, their power evaporates. They are not victims. They are volunteers in their own misery. You don't have to volunteer with them. If this coldness, this confusion, and this constant guilt sound familiar to you, you are already waking up. The fog is lifting. The question is no longer about why they act this way. The question is about what you are going to do now that you can finally see the exit. Tell me in the comments, have you ever tried to save someone who resented you for the rescue? Did you make it out, or are you still planning your escape? I read every story because knowing you're not crazy is the first step to becoming free. This is just the surface. The psychological maze goes deeper. And in the next video, we're going to talk about the specific language they use to rewrite your memories. Stick around. We're just getting started.